Do you know what time it is? It's time for another 31 Days of Horror update. That's right. Another Toronto After Dark 2014. This is the Sunday program and the first of 3 films on the bill. A Toronto premiere of a Canadian film. We are talking about The Drownsman. I love this cover, like this poster. It's literally, that's what I think this poster, like it harkens back to early 80s, all 80s, you know, horror flicks, late 70s, that kind of stuff. Just gorgeous. I love the way whoever, I could look it up. I don't know who did it, but whoever did it, good work, good work. Yeah, so it's a film done by Chad Archibald, who hasn't really directed a lot. I think the only thing you might know might be he directed something called Never Lost and a movie called Kill. So if you're into low-budget horrors, you might have heard of that. He did direct the film, another film that's released this year called Ejecta, which will be actually screening at the Blood in the Snow Film Festival in November. And but what he's really known for is he's got a lot of production credits, including a lot of films that I've seen and known, including Sweet Karma. I think I had that. I think I picked that up this year. If a Tree Falls, Bounty Hunters, In the House of Flies, which I picked up because I don't remember why, but I picked it up. Antisocial, you'll know that cover. It's got the girl with the axe and the bandage, and she's all bloody. Septic Man, which I saw last year at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival, and I've talked about. He was also a producer on Hellmouth, which was at the second day of the festival. Yeah, I think it was second day. Yes, but you saw the video, you know. And he's got Antisocial 2 coming up, so that's one of the reasons why I commented about Antisocial. You probably know it. But yeah, not much in the directing, but here he is again doing the in the director's chair. The film doesn't star a lot of people you would know, but if you do follow the low budget horror stuff, there are a lot of roles that these people have played. Well, some of these main actors who have played in other films, you know, either produced by Chad Archibald or that group, you know, the group who did, you know, Exit Humanity and such. That, I don't know, like I say, there was a deal struck between Anchor Bay and this group of guys. I think they were supposed to do like 6 or so movies. I can't remember. If you know, you can post it down below. But yeah, it includes Michelle Millet, I think, who was in Antisocial, and Antisocial 2 as Sam. It also has Carolyn Koricki, never done anything. Gemma Bird Matheson, again, same boat. Sydney Condrus, Claire Bastable, and these are Joanne Nordstrom. These are all essentially the girls in the film. Joanne plays, what does she play? I think she plays, is she the mom? Isabel. Might have been the mom. I don't remember. Oopsie. But she's done a lot of television stuff. I don't, honestly, she's kind of a nondescript look to her, so you probably wouldn't recognize her by looking at her. nor by the name. But it also has Rye Barrett, and I mention Rye Barrett not only because he's on my Facebook feed and we talk from time to time. He actually plays the bad guy, the Drownsman. But he's in Ejecta. He was in Sick, Antisocial, in the House of Flies, Exit Humanity. You see how these are all going together. Cell 213, Never Lost, If a Tree Falls, Numb, Psycho Ward, all sorts of stuff. He's an active person in, like I said, the low budget film world. At least I think these are all Canadian films that he's in. I could be wrong, but I think they are. And yeah, so it's a slew of Canadian talent. I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure everybody's Canadian, but it's hard to tell sometimes, right? Because they don't really put a lot of that information in IMDb, and unless they get a Q&A with them, or I do an interview, I don't know. So, a bunch of people you don't know, a few faces or a few names and faces that you might if you follow that low budget horror thing over the last 4 or 5 years. All young and up and comers, range in age from their 20s up until early 30s. Essentially all good-looking people, lovely ladies. And Rye Barrett's not a bad-looking fella himself, even though he doesn't play a good-looking person in the film. But that's beside the point. No, it's what's the film about? I know you're asking that. You're like, get to the point. Oh yes, okay. Essentially, Michelle Millett's character is named Madison, and it opens with a party, and it happens to be, I guess, on a lake. So it's at a cottage or a, I don't know, country club or something, and she ends up falling in the water, and almost drowning. As well, in relation to that, there's a guy who's kidnapping young women and killing them via oh, I know who. Okay, I know who Isabel is now. I'm not a mother. Never mind. Yeah, killing the women by drowning them specifically. And so one of the girls that he eventually captures is the only one who escapes from him. How? Well, when he goes to drown her, she turns the tables and manages to drown him and kill him. Of course, I believe the story goes, no body was found. So yeah, so Madison essentially has these visions of this Drownsman when she falls into the lake, essentially unconscious, and almost dies from drowning. And after she's woken up, fast forward a little bit, but she's having crazy amounts of fear of not just like going into bodies of water, but just like water in general, to the point where she's actually being hydrated like intravenously because she won't drink water. Like, she won't drink anything. That's how far her phobia goes. And it comes to the point where her friends are trying, eventually decide we're going to do an intervention, and they decide, and this is the picture from the poster, that they're going to, show her that it's all in her head. And, well, it's not. Bum bum bum, and so forth and so on, and the Drownsman, and people die, and you know how it goes. How good is the film? Well, it looks good. It does look good. I think the performances from almost everybody, there are a few weak performances, but almost everybody are, you know, either good or excellent. Some of them are really good. And the Drownsman is a great character. The whole idea of somebody who can kill you through water, any water, anywhere, is great. And unfortunately, this is where the film, it loses me. It had so much potential to deliver some like a crazy amount of suspenseful and tense moments and great scares and false scares and stuff. And had they, you know, looked at the J-horror stuff, which has, you know, great ideas and suggestions for pulling that off, they could have done it. But instead they have a couple of moments where it's like, kind of tense, but it's always too quick on the editing to get to that scare. And the monster is essentially revealed way too quickly. So you got plot development at the beginning, you know, explaining what everything is, and then you got this small little section where it's, you know, you develop that tension, but it's so small. Like, it could have been so much longer and so much better, and they had so many people they could have bumped off, who, you know, didn't believe things, you know, could have died, all that. But no, they rush to bringing out the Drownsman, and I found that was it. Once the Drownsman was revealed, then it just became more like a slasher film, rather than this supernatural film that it could have been with all the scares. And that's where, you know what, it really started to put me to sleep at this point, because then it, like, the music, the sound ramps up. It's very much, you know, high impact for basically until the end. Yeah, it was losing my attention. Now, that being said, that may be what some people enjoy about the film. It's just not, you know, in my opinion, it could have been a good scary film, and it yeah, had the potential and blew it. But honestly, not only am I going to watch this movie again eventually someday, yeah, I'm going to buy it. It's going in my collection. The character, the Drownsman, is just an awesome character. The poster is such a great poster, and it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's just, like I said, I hate when there's so much potential and I can see it right off the bat, and it just doesn't materialize in the actual film. Yeah, it bugs me. It bugs me. I know it shouldn't, because then, you know what, essentially it's not the film that I'm watching, it's the film I want to be watching, and that's, you know, it's not the same thing. But yeah, the Drownsman, would I recommend it? Honestly, if you know, it shows up on your Netflix or whatever video on demand thing you got going, throw it on, give it a watch. It's not something that you're gonna go, oh my god, I can't believe I just spent time watching that. No, it's good enough to be enjoyable, but I don't know that I'd say rent it. You know, at Redbox, because I don't know where else you're gonna rent. I mean, there are some mom and pop shops still around, but yeah, I don't know. It's not your crazy gory film. It's not your super scary film. It's just sort of mediocre film with, you know, mediocre amounts of all the things that make up like a horror film, which is too bad. I don't think it was, and it wasn't a matter of budget. It's not a matter of budget. The actual Drownsman set is kind of cool. I'm pretty sure they built that. Yeah, I just hate when the film in my mind is better than the film that I'm watching. And I ain't no filmmaker. Till the next video, guys. Take care. Have a good one.